What up, everybody? It is G.C.R. Productions here, and welcome back to yet another long-awaited episode of Exploring Abandoned Railroad Crossings on Google Maps. Yes, I know you guys have been waiting for it for so long, and now since I have my backlog cleared, and as a bonus, I am recording this at very late at night at 1 a.m. because my third shifted scheduled self needs something to do, and I also need more content to upload. Well, I guess here it is. So yeah, and today's episode is going to be rather special because it is the 10th episode special. Yup, we have somehow made it to double digits by now for this series, so thank you guys for all of the support you have gave to this series. I may do more often in the future, per se, and yeah. Anyway, sorry about that. I had to clear some notifications. And also, sorry if my face cam is not on for this episode because, yeah, I'm recording this in my car and it's dark and you can't see me anyway. So, yeah, so basically, if you're so happen to be new to this series, what we do is we go around, the USA and also Canada, explore some abandoned railroad crossings, ones that are actually abandoned, tell a little bit of history about it. Just me yapping behind a screen is basically what it is. It's basically just nothing more than me just yapping behind a screen per se. And we just go over the history, the equipment that it has, and yeah, and people just so happen to like that stuff. So I guess with that said, if you guys want to submit your own abandoned railroad crossing request in the comments below, since all the entries here are by request in the comments section of the last episode, comment down below on this video and of the locations or coordinates of your abandoned railroad crossing request. The rules will be in the description. Usually I tell the rules in the video, but I'll leave them down in the description for you guys to read. But to go over them quickly, verbally anyway, the maximum amount of requests you may make is now 2. Yes, I brought it down to 2 because yeah, there's a lot of requests that I get. And please be specific, make sure the crossing's abandoned, and yeah, all that jazz. Like I said, the specific rules will be down below. And yeah, I guess with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and get to our first crossing. Here we go. Alright, so for the first crossing, which is actually a railroad crossing that I reviewed on my first and second episodes, and I'm going to be reviewing it a third time because some things have been updated about it. And this one is located on 8th Street East in Sonoma, California. And this crossing right here was owned by what I believe the Northwestern Pacific Railroad. So as you can see, that's the railroad itself. And the railroad is still active, but this portion of it, I believe, was like either a branch line or a storage track that has been cut off long ago. And basically, back then you had these classic cantilevers and the tracks didn't go as far as like past this curve right here. It's pretty much abandoned or into an industry of some sort. I kind of forgot where exactly they went, but it's kind of a neat ordeal. But however, if we travel to September 2022, like it just automatically did, as you can see, the Northwestern Pacific, in which they acquired some more locomotives over there, they have modernized this crossing and they extended the tracks near this brand new industry that's been built right here. So yes, this railroad crossing has actually been reactivated, and I just wanted to throw in an update because you guys in the comments have been bothering me about it over and over, and I saw it anyway, and I wanted to give it an update since it was the OG crossing of this series to kick it off. So yeah. So basically, this is what the crossing looks like today. It has Western Coal and Hayes LEDs, E-bells, cantilevers. Well, those are premier products or Progress Rail, and gate mechanisms. But here's the funny thing. So right after this crossing has been installed, like about a year later, it has been torn apart and basically destroyed. Look at this. Like, you can see that the cantilevers, they used to exist, but now they don't, or they just downgraded the crossing for some reason. Like, at first it looked like this crossing was hit by what looked like a hurricane. Well, do hurricanes even happen in California? I don't think so. But what happened from the looks of it, the Northwestern Pacific actually downgraded this crossing to just a mass signal crossing because I guess the cantilevers were unnecessary. I don't know why they did this, but oh wow, if you look right here, there is a bent light. Actually, yep, there are a couple of bent lights. I don't know how this happened. Maybe a tree fell on it or something. And then they took out the cantilever on this side just to match it. Oh, wait, no. Look at this. Yeah. Okay, that's definitely been destroyed. Okay, so I thought they downgraded the crossing, but it's definitely been wrecked. And to this day, for about a year straight, that's what it looks like still to this day. So yeah, 8th Street East has been reactivated from those old vintage cantilevers only just to get wrecked again. Well, not again, but like wrecked in general. So yeah, I guess with that said, this was the first crossing, which was a revamp of one of the OG crossings from the first episode. And yeah, it's kind of an interesting update how they upgraded it, and they just fell apart on them like a bunch of freaking Legos. But yeah, I guess with all that said, let's go ahead and move on to the next crossing, which is an actual abandoned one requested by one of you guys. So let's get to it. Alright, and the next crossing is located on Sala Avenue in Westwego, Louisiana. Jeez, that's a tongue twister. I hope I pronounced that correctly. And this is one of 3 crossings that the Southwestern Railfan or the ETR Railfan 01 has requested. And this one right here, I had to go back in time just to get a clearer view of it. But as you can see, this crossing right here, well, obviously, first of all, the line no longer exists. You can see where the tracks used to lay. And if you look to your left, there's another line right here, which is kind of cool. Couple of mast signals, which had been upgraded to LED in later times. But way back in the day, in the 1990s, this was abandoned according to the commenter, this had a wigwag installed in it, Southern Pacific era, and you can see that there's an old depot right here where the line used to lay. As you can see, this has like, your typical mast for a wigwag and a USNS teardrop bell, and it's really cool just to see this still stand here, and also the relay case, because even today it still stands, even though the crossbuck fell down like quite a lot. Like you can see it's up there. Oh dang, you can see how it's bejumbled, in like the later times. And then eventually it fell like about halfway down the pole, or they just replaced the crossbucks because whoever is in charge of these buildings right here like to keep this up for some reason. But yeah, definitely an interesting one. Thank you for the request. Now let's go ahead and move on to the next one. Wow, definitely really cool just to see both an old depot and like remnants of an old wigwag still remain here, despite of it 90% of it not being here. So yeah, let's move on to his next request. Oh, but before I forget, when the line was still here, Conrail, Erie, Lackawanna, and Delaware and Lake Erie used to run on this one. Delaware and Lackawanna, that is. Whatever it is, move on. All right, with that said, his next request is located on South Echo Street in Holdenville, Oklahoma. And this crossing right here is definitely a really cool one. So this one was a 1950s Rock Island install with, with these really neat split cast iron crossbucks and 12 by 20 inch incandescent lights. And this line was abandoned sometime in the 80s or 90s, one of those two times. But if you look here, you can see quite a lot that's been remained here. So you can see, obviously the mast signals, which are like old WRS installs, you can see with the mechanical bell and incandescent lights, plus the split crossbuck. And if you look right here, the tracks actually still remain. You can see a big line of crossings that still remain. Like I could see another mast signal over there, some crossbucks. And if I look this way, you can see an old depot. You could see the old Rock Island logo with the Holdenville sign. And if you look right here, there are some Y pattern signals that used to protect a diamond that used to be here. And for some reason, the signals are still on. Look at that. Oh wait, they've been shut off in 2023, but still, that's cool to see them still turned on in 2021. And you can see the bottom head was still on in 2013, but that's been shut off. And then 2023, that's been shut off. Wow, definitely really cool, like a ghost line of some sort. I kind of dig the vibe here. Definitely in like a desert plains kind of scenery. Here's this really, really tiny relay case. And just out of curiosity, what else is down here? Let's check out Oak Street. Is that like the signals that I saw over there? Oh, yep. And if you look right here at Oak Street, you can see a similar install, plus with gate mechanisms, which is pretty cool. Yeah, you can see the old WRS gate mechanisms, which are in the down position because, the hold clear is basically corroded. And also the siding, which is a siding of this. The siding of this line is what I meant to say. You can see the switch is still there. Wow, definitely a sight to see. And you can see all kinds of abandoned scenery, architecture around like these two drums, and over there was a few buildings. Yeah, definitely a really cool place. Thanks for the request. Now let's move on to your final request, which is located right here at North Monroe Street in Albany, Georgia. And if you look right here, there is no line anymore, once again, for this one. But obviously, you have your lone standing crossing signal right here, which was, I believe, this was, and according to his comment, this was a former Seaboard airline subdivision that used to lie here. And if you look, and as for equipment, you could see this has an old Rayco / Safe Trans setup. You can see that with the mechanical bell, cantilevers, and varied sizes of incandescent lights. And he said there used to be another cantilever that was here, but it was like along with the cantilever, you can't see that in street view as far back as 2007, but he said that the rails have been torn up, and he thinks the other cantilever was also torn up in the 1990s, sometime around there. But definitely some really cool architecture. I really like how, you just see railroad crossing signals right here in places where you can barely tell where a line used to be. Well, you can kind of tell because you can see the opening where rails used to be, but at the same time, it's like a railroad used to run through here. And just north of this crossing, I believe there's an active line. Yep, there's an active line right here, I believe owned by CSX. And that's a bridge. But yeah, that is definitely some cool crossings you sent me. Thank you to the ETR Railfan 01 for the locations and stuff. Definitely some cool stuff with that. So I guess with that said, let's go ahead and move on to the next crossing. All right, and for the next crossing is located on Broadway in Orangeville, Ontario, and this one has been requested by Mr. Eric 316, or just Eric. That's just his name. But yeah, and according to him, this crossing was owned by the former Orangeville-Brampton Railway, which was abandoned sometime in early 2022. And as you can see, this was, which doesn't really look like it's been abandoned in 2022 because the rails are already gone, paved over, and they already stripped down the cantilevers to absolutely nothing, and like within the past couple of years. It's kind of crazy. Or within the past year, because if you look in 2022 when this was just abandoned, you could see that the cantilevers were obviously still standing. The mast ones looked like they had LEDs in them even, or even all the lights, and you could see that the line, it's like it's still here. Well, then you could see they're starting to tear it up at around this time, but still though, it's like it seems like it hasn't been that long enough for it to look like this. But yeah, I guess to go over the equipment, this looks like this had an all Safe Trans setup with like Modern Industries cantilevers, I believe that's what they are, and with General Signals E-bells, and it looks like, well, one General Signals E-bell of some sort, maybe like a Type 2 or maybe a Type 1, I believe. But if I go back, there used to be a mechanical bell and 8-inch lights here, a Safe Trans mechanical bell to be exact. And the E-bell was installed sometime in 2014. Here, hold on, I can't see it. No, it was installed around 2015, so it could have been a Type 2 or a Type 3, most likely a Type 3. But yeah, so that's what these crossings signals look like. This one had like 12 by 20 inch lights overhead, and were they upgraded to 12 by 24? Oh, no, they weren't. I guess that was an illusion. But yeah, it's kind of crazy how fast they tore up the line and abandoned this crossing, like when they were like, it doesn't need service anymore, or we don't run trains here anymore, so we're just going to tear everything up like really quickly. Well, so yeah, this was definitely an interesting one. Thank you, Eric, for the request. And yeah, and I guess with all that said, let's move on to the next crossing. All right, and the next crossing is on West Norton Road in Norton, Virginia, or I think it's just Norton Road in West Norton, Virginia. But yeah, West Norton Road, and this one has been requested by Dylan the Video Maker 2003, and this crossing, as you can see, there is absolutely nothing left. But yeah, this crossing, he said, according to the commenter for the history, this crossing was owned by the L&N back in the 80s, and then when it's been, and when L&N was bought out by CSX, they completely abandoned this line altogether instead of CSX taking ownership. So they've since torn up the rails, basically a forest grew upon it, and they stripped down the crossing signals to absolutely nothing. But he said if you go back in time, I can't go back in time, but back then though, it used to have WRS 8-inch lights, and the only thing remaining on these two signal poles is the original WRS mechanical bell. It's kind of interesting, as well as the relay case if you want to count that too, which is obviously really rusty. Wow, definitely a sight to see. Kind of hard to, once again, kind of hard to believe that trains just used to go through here. So I'm seeing a theme for this episode, which is like railroad crossings that are merely a shell of what they used to be. So yeah, as you can see, this is the old L&N branch. You can just kind of follow it down a bit, just where the trees were growing, but at the same time, there isn't much to follow anyway, since, it's just a bunch of trees, no more rail, but you do have this crossing, which is kind of cool, or what's left of this crossing. But yeah, and this user did request 2 crossings, so let's go ahead and move on to the next one, which is located on Dr. Ralph Stanley Highway near Nora, Virginia. And this one right here was, so the user has no idea upon the history on this one, but what he does know, it's been owned by CSX, as you can see from the modernized dot tags on them. But this is an old CSX install. You can see the old Wabco 8-inch light, Wabco mechanical bell, and Wabco gate mechanism, which is pretty cool. An all Wabco install, well, except for this signal right here, which appears to have like Western Colon Hayes 12 by 24-inch incandescence and a safe turn gate mech, but still pretty cool to see. So as you can see, this was a branch line off of an active subdivision, which is just down there. And as you can see, it's clearly abandoned. You can see there's an old trestle over this small creek right here. And there's an old relay case right here. And the rails have already been paved over. Definitely some cool stuff. Definitely a cool curve. If this line was still active, this would be a really cool like spot for photography or something. But yeah, now let's go ahead and go back in time to see. Yup, if you go back in 2008, the line looks like it's been still active or just abandoned back then. And you can see the old white plated CSX dot tags. But if you go in today's time, CSX obviously put a dot tag there, but the crossing's gone. But from the looks of it, though, if they put modernized dot tags on this crossing, and maybe those look like LEDs in those, I don't think so, but they look like that for a second. There's a slight possibility that they might bring back this line. I have no idea. I doubt it though, but it still looks really cool. It's definitely abandoned from the looks of it. So yeah, I guess with that said, thank you DT and VM 2003 for the requests. Now let's go ahead and move on to the next crossings. Now for the next crossing, which is definitely really cool, this one's located on South Juniata Street in Havre de Grace, Maryland. I hope I did not pronounce that incorrectly. And this one has been requested by C&O Railroad Productions, and according to him, this crossing was like basically a 1960s install. You could see all the inverted signs and whatnot. And this little spur crossing is owned by NS, but he does not know when it was last used. So it's very possible that they abandoned this, or maybe that it's still active. But if you look around here, there is some really, really rare equipment on this crossing. So whether this is active or not, I want to review this anyway because it's definitely really cool. So first of all, as I mentioned before, you have your old WRS mass and basically these giant gate mechanisms that are typically used on drawbridges or something. And you can see with the old WRS 8-inch lights and a WRS motor bell. Look at that. Not one though, 2 of them. Yes, there's 2 of these WRS motor bells here. I believe they're like WRS 0777 mechanical bells. I forgot the model number on those. There's someone comment below what the model number on these bells are again, because that's what they're more known by. But I just call them motor bells because of the big freaking motor they have in the back and like the big box that is permanently attached to the lid to compromise for that. And not only that, if you look right here, the other gate mechanism has a hinged gate with these clear LED gate lights, which aren't really too rare, but still though, a hinged gate plus this big gate mechanism combo it's quite insane if you ask me. But yeah, you can see the 2 old mass signals. Like he said, he does not know when this was last used, so it's probably not abandoned or like unused, but like it's only used as needed. And for the third signal, you can see there's a cantilever here. I don't know why they added this here, I guess for extra visibility. And on top of the overhead lights, there's this like little beacon that you have. And you have like a double crossbuck there and a makeshift dot tag. This looks like to either be a WRS or Federal Signal cantilever. Actually, Federal Signal or Western Colon Hayes. WRS would have the Union metal base. But yeah, definitely really neat. If I look over here, yep, those are Federal Signal 12 by 20-inch incandescents. Of course, this crossing has like everything uncommon and rare that you could imagine here. Or old, or like vintage, or old, or makeshift, or whatever you want to, however you want to say it. Now let's go ahead and go back in time and see. Whoa! Okay, so if you go back in time, you can see that this has an old wishbone gate, like that dates back to the 50s. Holy crap, that is cool. And they have a hinged version of it over here. Dude, this is sweet. I never actually thought I would be seeing a setup like this in my series, but here we are, I guess. But yeah, South Juniata Street, obviously named after the Juniata shops in Altoona. Who knows? Just kidding. That's probably not true. But yeah, I guess with that said, thank you to C&O Railroad Productions for this request. This was definitely my favorite by far, whether if this is abandoned or not, but still, I enjoyed reviewing it. So yeah, I guess with all that said, let's go ahead and move on to the next crossing. All right, and the next crossing is located on NJ37 in Toms River, New Jersey, and this one has been requested by Christopher Johnson, and this is definitely another interesting setup. So, according to the commenter, the history on this crossing was owned by Conrail on a spur line on the Sibby-Geigy chemical plant, but due to that plant shutting down, they had to abandon this line, and left over from it are obviously these overgrown tracks and these huge cantilevers on this 4-lane highway. Actually, is it a 4-lane? No, it's a 6-lane divided highway. Definitely really, really cool. So you can see there is 1, 2, 3 pairs of lights on each cantilever. Oh no, 4. There's a 4th pair on that one. 4th pair on for the overhead on the cantilever there, and 3 on this one, it looks like. And there's the mast lights. This is kind of looks like a big old signal bridge, more like, or half of one. You can see it has 4 different foundations. You can see that the old Conrail dot tag is still there. Well, it's not old. I believe it's been owned by the CSAO that runs around here. And I'm not sure what kind of cantilever this is. It could be a Modern Industries. Yeah, Modern Industries is also known for making big signal bridges. And you can see the iconic "Do Not Stop on Track" sign that New Jersey mandates, kind of like Michigan, how they mandate their stop on red signal signs. And also the exempt sign, because it's been, abandoned sometime in, I forgot when this was abandoned, and he said that this is also on the Mike's RXR website. I might look on that real quick for more of the history, but you can see that the lights are all LED. I don't know, it looks cool. Oh no, you can see that these are all L&W light brackets, as you can see. Oh no, Modern Industries, my bad. But yeah, these are all Modern Industries lights, and this has a Safetran mechanical bell. Yeah, it looks like a Safetran mechanical bell. Definitely really cool. And you can see there are big support beams on top of the bases right here that hold up these big old bridge-sized cantilevers. Definitely really cool. These are massive for what they are. And you can see these are the rails that go straight into the plant, or what used to be the plant, or what else used to be here. You can see that's overgrown and abandoned. You can see this goes, you can kind of see where this goes, but the tracks, they've probably been cut up at some point down there, or they still exist, but you can't see them because they're well overgrown. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. Definitely a really neat setup. So thank you, Christopher Johnson, for the request. This was definitely a neat one, another neat one. You can see the crossbucks to see how large they are. And if I go over here, you can kind of see, oh wow, look at a Safetran visor. You could see, if I go back in time, let's see what they look like back then. Yeah, it's been abandoned for quite a while. You can see, if I go back in 2011, you can see how overgrown it is even back then. And look, there's the relay case. Too bad that, oh wait, you can still see it. Duh. So yeah, thanks, Christopher, for the request. Now, I guess with that said, let's move on to the next request. All right, in the next crossing, which is located on Rogers Street near I-70 Business Loop in Columbia, Missouri, and this one has been requested by Colt Connor Productions, and this one is owned by a line that he says that the line is getting all torn out soon. Yep, all these crossings and this line, well, it's already in the progress of getting torn out from what I can see. And this says, and the line, this is owned by C.T.R. I'm not sure what that is. I'm gonna go look that up real quick, actually. All right, so the C.T.R. is the Cloquet Terminal Railroad. I hope I pronounced that correctly. And he said that this line right here is getting ripped out. So obviously they've recently began tearing this line out from the modern setup of these signals right here. You can see with the old, well, these are not old at all. These are like Premier Products lights, or Progress Rail lights. You can see these are definitely some odd lights with the flat backs, and also the General Signals E-bells. And you can see that the line used to go into here, I believe, straight through from in here. You can see where the tracks used to line through and go into here. It's kind of an interesting pattern. Let me go back in time. Yup, you can see it used to go into this little facility, and you can see that this building, there was a building right here that's obviously gone now. Quite interesting. But yeah, you can see that this is an old terminal line that's getting torn out, and he told me that I could to what was I gonna say? Look at more of the crossings that are possibly getting torn out soon. What the heck? Where did it redirect me? But yeah, here's another signal on College Avenue, or another crossing. You could see really how overgrown this is already becoming. You know, they're already tearing it out. And if I go over to Wilkes Boulevard or Wilkes Boulevard, that's just a crossing. And I-70 Business Loop is a pretty cool one. It's a bridge, and you can see the Cloquet Terminal, or Columbia Colt Terminal Railroad sign over it. It's kind of a shame that it's gonna all go away eventually. And yeah, I guess that said, it was like a multiple crossing request, but at the same time, he wanted me to check out the line more than anything. So thank you, Colt Connor Productions, for the requests of this line. Kind of a shame that this line is going away. It looked like a cool one. When I looked it up, it looked like they had a bunch of old like SW locomotives that used to run over the line. It's kind of cool. So yeah, I guess with that said, let's go ahead and move on to the next crossing. All right, in the next crossing, in which I don't know if I reviewed this one before, but it's definitely familiar to me. And this one's located on North Huron Road in Tawas City, Michigan, and I believe I might have saw this once in person. And this one has been requested by Michigan rail fan enthusiast, my buddy Anthony. And this one, he said that this was a connection track bound down from Alabaster Junction on the LSRC Huron subdivision, in which I plan on rail fanning eventually, even though all the amount of times I went to Tawas City, I never seen a single train. But I've gotten word on how you catch a train there, and you gotta be there in like the middle of the night, which I guess makes sense, even though I stayed the night at Tawas a bunch of times before. I guess I just never seen one train. I even toured a crossing in there in person before on the LSRC Huron sub. But I'm definitely coming back. But with that aside, I'm getting kind of sidetracked. So here's the crossing itself, which is definitely an interesting setup. So this has two cantilevers, as you can see, the old Satran kind with 12 by 20 inch lights and Satran Type 1 electronic bells. Yes, so LSRC apparently used Satran Type 1 e-bells for a short amount of time while they were, around. And when that came out, they just wanted an e-bell, so they used Satran Type 1s. But obviously, if I go to the modern age, this crossing and this line are gone today, so no more Alabaster Junction. It's just a Huron sub now. But yeah, this is, but back then when it still used to exist, this is what it looked like. Now, I'm not exactly sure where this little branch line went to. I believe to an industry of some sort. Let's go ahead and go on to Turtle Road and see what used to lie here, in which I cannot go back in time, so that's kind of useless. But here's Alabaster Junction itself, or Alabaster Junction. Yeah, that's what it's called. And I do remember going on Town Line Road over here a while back, even though this crossing's probably not abandoned. But I remember going on this crossing in a previous episode, which used to have two USNS teardrop bells, but apparently they have been replaced with Satran Type 1s, which is very interesting. As I think about it from a crossing foamer myself, the fact that they replaced USNS teardrop bells with also with a rare bell, a Satran Type 1, I'm not even that mad, but still, that is weird. I never seen that before, but definitely a cool, history update on this crossing, and a neat reminisce from the Alabaster Junction branch line. I think that's what it's called, from Lake State Railway Company, but I don't know. So with that said, thank you, Anthony, for the request. This was a cool one. Now, I guess with that said, let's move on to the next crossing. All right, and the next crossing, which is located on Main Street in Delhi, Ontario, Canada. Yes, that's right, another Canada one for you guys. And this one has been requested by, here, let me get his name. That one guy that makes random videos. Nice name. So yeah, this right here was a crossing owned by, I forgot what he said. He didn't actually provide any information on this at all. But from the looks of it, it's been owned by CN in the past, which is probably like a terminal or branch line of some sort. But as you can see, I had to travel back to 2018 because, as you can see, according to the modern age, the rails and the signals are now all gone. They're gone. So yeah, you could even see them tearing filling out the line as we go on to the modern age. But yeah, so this crossing right here is, well, first of all, it's really clean for an abandoned railroad crossing. Like, they actually repainted this thing as it still stood. And second of all, this crossing features definitely some pretty cool and old cantilevers, which I believe are US&S cantilevers, if I had to take a guess, according to the base and the boxes. If not, they're probably GRS. But from the box, they're probably US&S. But you can see there's Rayco 8-inch lights all around, and I believe a Rayco mechanical bell. So like a Rayco and US&S combo setup. Or no, that might be a Safetran mechanical bell. Yep, that's a Safetran mechanical bell. Definitely pretty cool. And if you could see up here, there's a old light bracket, I forgot what that's called, and you got your Canadian crossbucks right here. Now, earlier, I went over to Main Street, a Main Street of Delhi. The one that I just shown you was on James Street in Delhi, Ontario, so my bad on the wrong name, excuse me. But yeah, you can see back then, well, the signals are gone now, but if I go back in time, you can see a couple of old mast signals that used to be on this line, on the double track portion. Excuse me again, geez. And you can see there's old Safetran 8-inch lights, I think those are. Like, they're painted black. It's kind of interesting. And once again, another mechanical bell, like another WRS one. Definitely really cool. I'm not sure what the history is on this CN line, but it's kind of a shame that it's gone today. And why can I travel back and forward in time? Oh, there we go. There it is. Yep, you can see the old ties left over from this line, and I assume they're going to turn it into a trail, according to that sign, maybe. I don't know, actually. It's definitely an interesting line that they tore up, or definitely an interesting history that's behind it that I sadly don't know. If anyone knows, feel free to comment it down below. So yeah, I guess with that said, thank you to that one guy for that request. So I guess with all that said, let's move on to the next crossing. Alright, and the next crossing is located on Stockwell Road in Evansville, Indiana, and this one has been requested by CSX Railfan 38. And this one right here, this crossing, it has been owned by Norfolk Southern. That's probably been connected to some spurs, but it's been abandoned since 2015. Well, I think 2015 was when it last seen a train, according to them. But as you can see, they've just abandoned the line, which looks clean, which then again, it's only been about 10 years. And you can see the crossing right here, it's still pretty clean. They just kind of shut it off and just removed the gates. You know, just kind of looks like a setup you would normally see on, let's say, the NS Lake Erie district, in which I railfanned on a few times. Cool line. But yeah, you could see that it has a typical Safetran setup with the Safetran Gate Max bell, mechanical bell, and 12 by 20-inch lights. Definitely some cool stuff reminisced by NS. You can see there's a whole tunnel of trees that you could see if you look this way. And I think I see a searchlight signal down there. Kind of cool stuff. And you can see where it continues down this way, where you can see there's a tree that has fallen from the looks of it. Or I don't know, that probably just looks like that because it looks like that. So yeah, definitely a neat setup. He has requested 2 crossings, so one on this line and the other one, which is located on Dixie Flyer Road in Evansville, Indiana. And if you look to your left, you can see an active Norfolk Southern train yard. But what branches off of this yard, well, first of all, a gondola is blocking it, you could see now, which is a dead giveaway that it's unused past that point. And it's what this is actually it's an industry track that used to connect, but it's been long since abandoned. I forgot. I didn't forget, but he didn't say where it used to connect. But obviously, it's been paved over, and this is where it used to go. Now, if I go back in time, can I see where it used to go? Oh, wow. Yeah, you can see some old log cars that are right there just chilling. So I assume that it's probably like a logging industry or something rather, and that they used to use and take some stuff to storage, but it's obviously been abandoned. Oh, wow. You see some CSX Jeeps. Oh, wait, this is a CSX yard. I said NS. Whoops. This is a CSX yard correction, not NS. Jeez, I am losing my marbles. It is almost 3 a.m. after all, even though I should be wide awake at around this time because, you know, I work third shift now. But yeah, that's what there is to show. Just a couple of crossbucks and a cool little industry spur track that they used to put stuff in storage and or take to CSX to be exact. And those cars have been there for a while. When did they take them out? Between 2012 and 2015. I wonder what lucky rail fan or person saw that move before they abandoned this thing. And you can see some intermodal cars right here. Interesting. I don't see an intermodal dock. Why would there be intermodal cars? It's probably like CN Bristol Yard where they just hold hostage of intermodal cars and another train of some sort, or like a local picks them up and takes them to an actual intermodal dock. But yeah, those are the requests that CSX Railfan 30 has sent me. So thank you so much for the requests. So I guess with that said, let's move on to the next crossing. All right, and the next crossing is on Anderson Road in Tampa, Florida. And obviously, I had to go back to 2011 to see this because, as you can see in 2013 beyond, this line has been cut up and everything has been removed. But here are the signals right here, and he did not provide any for historical information on it other than it's owned by CSX, as you can see from the dot tags. But yeah, from the looks of it, this looked like to be an old what was I gonna say? Industry line. Once again, another like industry or spur line that CSX no longer serves, so they ripped up the tracks. You can see some actual freaking palm trees starting to grow on that, or like another species of palm trees or whatever those plants are in Florida. I'm not a big knowledgeable person on plants, but yeah, you can see that there's a couple of old Western Colon Hayes signals, gated signals, Western Colon Hayes / WRS, whatever you want to go by. You can see there's the old mechanical bell and the incandescent 8-inch lights and gates, and you can see the old Harman font crossbucks, I believe those are. No, those look like regular to me, or just like another font, but yeah, obviously, this is what it looks like now, or actually, this is what it looks like now. Hasn't really changed all that much as I think about it, other than the removal of some other rails. Definitely some cool stuff to see here. If I go back to 2007, it does not look any better. In fact, it looks worse than it did in 2011 because they probably like cut down all the plants because they wanted to remove these rails as soon as possible. But yeah, if you look here, you can see an old beat up switch, or what's left of a switch that used to go into 2 tracks. Definitely some interesting stuff. So yeah, with that said, thank you to Rails of Southline for this request. Definitely a neat one. So I guess with that said, let's go ahead and move on to the next crossing. All right, and the next crossing, which is also pretty neat, this one is located on 13th Street South in St. Petersburg, Florida. Jeez. And this one has been requested by Republic of Strandia or Railfan with Railway LEX. And this one, he didn't really provide any historical information, but there are a few crossings on this line that I thought were kind of neat, but this one thought I found this one to be the neatest, if that's even a word. But yeah, it's on 1st Avenue South or 13th Street, whatever side you're on. And as you can see, this work features some old US&S cantilevers, as you can see. And one thing to mention real quick, if I go back in 2008, you could see that this is like a transitional era camera. Look at this. It literally looks like a picture from the 1950s. It looks really like, I really like the color grading on this for some reason. But you can see a pair of old US&S cantilevers, which are directional because this is a one-way road. You can see how the tracks curved onto the side of the road over there. And this crossing features a, I don't know what bell that is. It might just be a beacon like this one. Yeah, I don't know if there's a bell on these signals, but just a little beacon to indicate to the crew of the oncoming train that the crossing is working. But obviously that's useless now. It's been abandoned. Here's the relay case. I have no idea what line this was owned by in the past. Like I said, I have not been provided much information, but if you look in 2014, the crossing is obviously gone, but in 2009, you can see it's still here. Same with the crossing grade. And if I go to 2011, there it is still, but except the lights are now bagged up in 2011, and the other cantilever is gone. And if I go to 2014, the cantilever is now gone, and same with the crossings that were on 13th Street, which was probably where I was at, why I confused 13th with 1st Street South. So yeah, this is the 1st Street South crossing. You can see there's the back profile of the cantilever right here, and here's what it looks like in 2008 again, because for some reason I like this color grading. So yeah, that right there is this crossing on 1st Street South. Thank you, Republic of Strandia, for the request. Definitely a really cool historic looking one. I really like these historical ones y'all are throwing at me. So yeah, I guess all that said, are these cat eye crossbucks? Yo, wow, yep. I didn't even notice until last second. These signals also have cat eye reflector crossbucks. Definitely some neat stuff. Obviously they're gone now, but wow. Back in the day, you could see the old cat eye reflectors above the overhead lights on these signals. Yeah, definitely a really neat one. Thank you once again for the request. So I guess with that said, let's move on to the next crossing. All right, in the next crossing, which is on the intersection of AL 79 and Broad Street in Scottsboro, Alabama, and this one has been requested by Jay the Rail Fanner, and this crossing right here is definitely a fustercluck. Look at this. There's like a mass signal there, a couple of cantilevers, and obviously no rail. Once again, there are no rails. Well, you can kind of see where they used to lay down over by that ballast pile. And once again, he has not provided any information on what this was owned by, but from the looks of it, this looks like this has been owned by NS in the past. Judging from the equipment, I thought it was kind of obvious anyway. But yeah, definitely a really cool crossing here. You can see there's the old Safetran cantilever with the Safetran Type 3 E-bell, so it shouldn't have been that long since it's been taken out. So yeah, there's Roy Owens Boulevard. There's like 4 different road names here. But yeah, he just said Broad Street, and that's where I pretty much found it. And if I go back in time, let's see where the tracks used to go. Oh, yep, you can see it used to go right across the intersection. Literally the entire intersection. Well, furthermost the AL 279 part of it. But yeah, you can see where it used to go way across, and it's really ironic how this has an E-bell. In my honest opinion, I like how some abandoned crossings where you just find a little bit of irony and just see modern bells. Like, heck, look at this. This used to have a General Signals E-bell in 2014, and in 2018 it's been replaced by a Safetran Type 3. But God only knows when this has seen its last train. It probably hasn't been that long since the line has been ripped out and cut up, and as you can see, cut up in segments and said, hey, we don't need you anymore. So yeah, definitely an interesting stuff. All incandescent lights once again. You can see how this light faces towards one of the rows of the intersection, unless it's not supposed to be like that. And oh no, it is. Like the 2 lights that used to be on this mast of this cantilever just faced towards that way. Quite interesting. Kind of a neat reminder to not turn left when a train is coming, but obviously a train can't come through here anymore. So yeah, definitely an interesting one. Now, Jay the Rail Fanner has requested 2 crossings. One of them I can't find, or yeah, well, let's go ahead and move on to a second request anyway. So with that said, his other request is on Dick Hayes Road, also in Scottsboro, Alabama, and I believe this is going to be another crossing of the ones that I just reviewed, some of the same line. Here, I have yet to locate the crossing. Be right back. But yeah, don't mind me going too fast. This was the other crossing he wanted me to check out on this same line. Now, I believe maybe NS still uses this as a storage track just further down here, but obviously further past this point, this crossing ain't used anymore. So this one features some Safetran 8-inch lights and also a WRS mechanical bell from the looks of it. Kind of a neat stuff. I like all the classic Norfolk Southern elements that we're featuring in this episode. But yeah, if we look right here, we can see some the grass and where the line used to lay. You can see the old siding track, which looks way worse than the main. You can see how it just all crumbles apart along the line and then just turns into a bush at the end, just way over there. And this crossing, it looks like it's still on, which is interesting. Obviously, trains can't go any further past the crossing grade, but it's still on. In case a train gets close enough or like touches the grade, it'll still activate. But more than less, this is like more of an abandoned branch line from NS. So thank you, Jay the Rail Fanner, for the request. Now let's go ahead and move on to the next crossing. Alright, and the last crossing we will be checking out in this video, since I looked at the rest of my requests and some more duplicates of the other, in which I'm pretty sure that's against the rules, folks. But yeah, I guess with that said, this one is located on Orange Street in South Bend, Indiana, and this one has been requested by Bryce Rice, and this one has been, and according to him, he said that this crossing was about a mile away from him and he never seen a train go on it. But from the sounds of it, though, from his other request, which he did type out another request, but I couldn't find it. But it looks like it's been owned by either NS or maybe a different railroad of some sort. I'm not sure, but obviously it's gone now. But obviously back in 2009, if you go back then, you can see some old cantilevers here, which look like Modern Industries cantilevers. And the lights, he said they look like a mixture of Modern Industries and Safetran 8-inch lights, but they all look like Modern Industries to me. Definitely really neat. Here's the relay case right at this parking lot of this church right here. And you can see how poor the rails were. You can see it used to go all the way over there in that facility of some sort. and the tracks used to cross the road from the looks of it right here, but that's obviously been asphalted over. And yeah, this has been definitely abandoned for a good while. So depending on how old he is, I guess it would make sense that he never seen the this line activate. Well, the commenter. Well, this line in action, or this crossing in action, or whatever in action. But if I go in 2011, you can see the rails are still here, but the cantilevers are gone, and you could see that this, it looks like it's just been guarded by a traffic light this entire time. No parking, stopping, or standing, which makes sense because, you know, this used to be an active line with trains and stuff, but obviously, I don't know when's the last time a train went through here, but it's obviously been at least a few decades before it got torn out, but yeah, I guess that said, this was the final crossing that I'll have to tour for the video, because that are all the requests that I could at least find for the video. So thank you, Bryce Rice, for the request. This was definitely a cool finale one. Kind of tells a little story, since you said you lived just not too far from this crossing at all and never seen a train on it, but yet it's just been there for a part of your life, which kind of reminds me of when I was still growing up at my old house. I remember seeing a old industry line off of the CSX Saginaw sub, but I never seen a train go through that. And you know, it's been abandoned, and they tore out the rails sometime in the early 2010s. And I think I actually featured those crossings in one of my previous episodes, if you guys want to check that out if you haven't watched it yet, or have already watched and want to watch it again. Do whatever you want. But yeah, I guess with that said, this marks the end of episode 10 of exploring abandoned railroad crossings on Google Maps. So once again, thank you everyone for the support, and thank you everyone for the epic requests you guys made in this episode. All of them were actually pretty cool. My favorite one definitely was that old NS spur track, or industry track, with the old 50 signals that looked active and clean, but then again, the commenter didn't know when it was last used, so it could be abandoned or not. I don't know. If you guys know about the history about some of these crossings, I'm happy to see your comments down below on some of them. But I guess for now, that is enough crossings for this video. I am toked out. It is 3 a.m. And yeah, that's quite a lot of requests for me. So I guess with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this return of the series. If you did, definitely smash that like button for part 11 to come to the future. And once again, the rules will be down below in the description if you guys want to request your own railroad crossing to be featured in this video series. But I guess for now, this is G.C.R. Productions signing out. See you guys next time.